So the matching problem that we have been discussing so far is in some sense of limited practical value, right? The reason is that in real life, if you think about how kind of like courtship happens and how marriage happens, there's very little resemblance to the way in which we have been kind of like discussing in terms of the Gale Shapley algorithm, right? So one particular thing that you can obviously say is that, in the real life matching of, let's say, N men and N women, the matches are not made procedurally in the way in which we have discussed, right? That everybody kind of like first proposes to everybody on their list, and then we kind of like do it step by step, right? So the main utility of what we have been discussing so far is to kind of like in a simple framework to understand the basic kind of like procedure that actually takes place when you want to kind of like get to a stable matching, right? And now we want to kind of move on to a bit more realistic problems, right? And we'll see that with a very slight generalization, the Gale Shapley algorithm that we have been talking about can be actually applied to practical problems, right? And so we'll take as an example the original problem that motivated Gale and Shapley, which was, remember, college admissions, right? So just to remind you of the context, so what happens is that in many countries, you have a large number of applicants who seek admission to a small number of colleges, right? However, typically what happens is that the number of candidates is often much greater than the seats that are available in the colleges, right? And so kind of like what ends up happening is that each of the candidates end up applying to several colleges, right? So we are going to consider such a situation where you have that the number of applications submitted to the admissions office of a certain college exceeds its admissions quota, right? So in this case, what does the college have to do? It has to kind of like go through the applications, right? And evaluate all the applications and decide which ones to kind of like accept and which ones to reject. So the college will end up offering admission to some applicants if there are enough vacancies that are available. And in some cases, it might actually choose to kind of like refuse admission to other less qualified applicants, even if there are vacancies, right? So far, this is kind of hopefully very standard, right? So what are the options that are available to the college, right? So one option is that you kind of like accept the most qualified applicants till your kind of like the quota that you have in your college that is filled, right? The problem with this approach is that you cannot actually assume that, the persons to whom you're offering admissions, they're all going to kind of like accept your offers, right? Why? Because they may have applied to other colleges, and if they get an offer from a college which they prefer to your college, then they're going to kind of accept their offers, right? So you will end up kind of like actually having a lot of vacancies around, right? So then the admissions quota that you had, that is not going to be filled, right? So this approach runs in this into this difficulty. Another solution is that kind of like you need to offer admissions to a number of applicants which is greater than the quota, right? But here the problem is that if not enough people kind of like end up rejecting your offer, you may have to end up kind of admitting more students than you have kind of seats in your college, right? So that is also not desirable, right? So if you think about it, the main problem that is kind of like coming around is that the admission office in the college lacks relevant data about the applicants, right? So what are some of the data that is kind of like missing? So the admissions office does not know whether a given applicant has applied somewhere else or not. It does not know how each applicant ranks the colleges to which this applicant has applied, right? And it also does not know what are the kind of like the other colleges going to do when they get an application from this, right? Are they going to accept or not? Remember, this is you can think of a system where there's only marks, but the problem in which Gale and Shapley were motivated by, they were thinking of a situation where you have got a very multidimensional picture of a kind of like a candidate, right? It's not just the marks obtained in some standardized exams, but it has like all these other features, right? Extracurricular activities, what are this person's statement of purpose saying, and so on, right? So you have a more holistic view of the candidate, right? Okay, so given that the admissions office lacks all of this data, right, that it does not know whether the applicant has applied other places, what are the rankings that the applicant have among the colleges to which the applicant has applied, and also does not know what the other colleges are going to do. So then it has to kind of like consider the possibility that the entering class will either fail to meet the quota, right, and in which case you are going to kind of like end up having a lot of vacancies that are there, right? How about the situation from the applicant side? Well, there are problems as well, right? So suppose that, colleges kind of like come up with a rule in order to kind of get around this lack of information, that when you are applying to a college, you have to submit a list of all the colleges to which you have applied as well, plus give information about your ranking of these different colleges, right? Now, imagine that you are the applicant and you have been asked to provide such information, right? So you would kind of like be actually a bit suspicious about kind of like being very honest about what your true preferences are, right? So for example, if you apply to a college and you tell a college that, it is kind of like the fifth best choice, let us say, then you might feel that, okay, then the college might not actually give you an admission offer because it thinks that, it's just your fifth best choice, right? So you have kind of like then reasons to kind of like not be honest about what your preferences are in terms of different colleges, right? Okay. Would the presence of waiting lists actually solve all the problems? Not really, right? Because you can imagine a situation where you have an applicant who is informed that she's not admitted, but may be admitted later if a vacancy occurs, right? But this situation also has quite a lot of problems, as you can imagine, right? So, for example, suppose the applicant is accepted by one college, but is placed on the wait list of another that she actually prefers, right? So what should the applicant do? Should she play safe by accepting the first college's offer, right? Or should she reject the first college's offer and then take a chance that the second college on whose wait list this candidate is will admit her later on, right? So there is this risk that is there, right? In case you are thinking that why not accept the first and then kind of like, then basically you do not inform the second college that you have admitted the first college's thing, right? But once they kind of like give you an offer, then you kind of like withdraw the acceptance because the second college, right? So this will be kind of like bad for the first college, right? Because they have kind of like wasted a precious seat when they have given, right? So all of these kind of like difficulties are stemming from the fact that you have got lack of data in the admissions office, as we discussed, right? And also the applicants are kind of like have reasons to not be necessarily be truthful when they are asked to state their preferences, or when they are kind of like having mechanisms like waitlists, right? So what is the solution? Well, here is where the power and beauty of the Gale Shapley algorithm comes in. So it turns out that a generalization of the Gale Shapley algorithm can actually yield a stable solution, which will remove the above mentioned difficulties, right? So it solves these problems and assigns applicants among colleges by means of an independent placement center. Okay, so this placement center is something which is independent from the applicants as well as from the colleges, right? And what is the job of this independent placement center? So we are saying independent placement center because we are kind of like constructing this, right? So its job is to collect the data, okay, and to kind of like make the assignments in a certain way, right? So let's look at the procedure that is going to be followed. So each of the applicants, they are going to turn to the placement center and submit a list of colleges that the applicants are willing to attend, okay? And it would remove the names of those colleges that they are unwilling to attend, even if they get an offer from those colleges. Okay, so the list of acceptable colleges. Not only does it provide a list of acceptable colleges, but it also ranks the colleges in that list, okay, that she's willing to accept in order of preference. And then she submits her ranking to the placement center. What does the placement center do? The placement center sends each colleges a list of all applicants who are interested in attending that college. Okay. At this point, each college announces its admissions quota, right? And each college submits to the placement center a list of all the applicants ranked in accordance with its own preferences, and informs also the placement center which applicants will not be admitted even if there are vacancies that are available, right? So basically send a list of like acceptable candidates and non-acceptable candidates, right? And among the acceptable candidates, rank those acceptable candidates. Okay, now the placement center has basically all the information that is required to kind of like go ahead and apply the Gale Shapley procedure, right? So what will it do first? It will kind of like revise each applicant's preference order by omitting all the colleges that will never admit her, right? There's no point in having those colleges in the list because she's never going to get admitted to those colleges, right? Now, how does the Gale Shapley algorithm work here? Now, all applicants are first referred to the college of their first choice according to the new preference order. So this preference order that has been formed by omitting all the colleges that will never admit her, right? The colleges whose number of applicants at this stage is less than or equal to their quota, they have kind of like a waiting list, okay? If the number of candidates is greater than the quota, then the applicants are selected according to the preference order of the college until the quota is filled, and any applicants left are rejected. So you can see that this is exactly kind of like the how the Gale Shapley procedure was working, right? When we did it in terms of men proposing to women. So if the woman received more offers, remember, more than one offer, then they were kind of like rejecting the one apart from the best one and keeping the best one in a waiting list, right? So here, because you have got more than one seats that are available typically, then you are going to only keep the number of candidates on the wait list equal to your quota. Any number more, you're going to reject by kind of like using your preference list, right? Okay. The applicants who have been rejected at this stage are then referred to their next choice college. So notice this assignment thing is now being done only at the placement center. There's nothing for the applicants and the colleges to do, right? The placement center has kind of like all this information now to actually implement this. Okay. So what is going to happen? These new applicants who have kind of like, who have been referred to the next choice college, they are going to be added to the waiting list of each college from the previous stage. Again, the procedure is the same. If the number is less than or equal to the quota, all of those are going to remain on the new waiting list, right? Otherwise, they're going to be selected according to the preference order of the college, right? Where you are going to have the number of quotas being taken into account, and any additional applicants that are left are going to be rejected, right? So this procedure will continue, and you can see the analogy with the Gale Shapley hopefully very clearly until there are no more rejections, right? The procedure terminates when every applicant either is on a waiting list or has been rejected by every college to which uh, he or she is willing and able to apply, right? At this point, the college will admit everyone on their waiting list, then the rest will not go to the college. And finally, we already know from the Gale Shapley results that the assignment that you have achieved is stable, right? So that's one way of kind of solving this college admissions problem that that kind of like motivated the Gale Shapley paper in the first place.